Okay? So then today's topic is when we make offerings to non-human beings. So first we understand that we are living in a world where, as far as space is concerned, that there's more than one world system. There are multitude of world systems. And number two, we know that time is a concept. What to a deva, to a heavenly being, is one day, to us is already 100 years. And to the Brahma realms is even longer. Right? And again, being, there are different types. Okay? So what I'm going to share with you, maybe for about 40 minutes, and then we can have some questions, and then we could continue, is to look at what does it say in the Pāli Canon. Of course, in the non-Pāli Canon, in the Mahayana scriptures, they also reference, right? But I think I'll just stick to the Pāli Canon. But in the meantime, we can also talk at the Mahayana side. Okay, but first of all, I think it's very important when we come to this kind of topics, right? Because there's no way I can prove to you, I don't think anybody can stand here and prove to you that, look, there are these non-human beings, right? Nobody can do that. And again, in Buddhism, we are not asked you to believe, isn't it? One of the 6 characteristics of the Dhamma is come and see, isn't it? Come and find out. Ehi pasiko. So we must have that spirit, that attitude in mind when we come across topics like rebirth. You know, if people tell you, you know, because of what you did, you're going to be born as a cockroach. You know, so you don't have to get too upset about that. You know, just say okay. We don't really know. Sometimes we don't really know, right? But it's good for us to understand it. So I think the Kalama Sutta, right, is a very important guide for us in our everyday life, in whatever you are told, whatever you listen, right? Always have that in the spirit. Now, what is this called? How many of you have not heard of the Kalama Sutta? All of you have heard, right? You all know, huh? Huh? Everybody knows, really? Huh? You know?
It's a group of friends.
Huh?
Kalama is a group of the people.
Villagers. Yeah. Okay, so the Kalamas, a group of people, all right, during the Buddha's time. So when the Buddha was born, it was a period of intense spiritual inquiry. You know, just as in Europe, it was during the period of Socrates. You know Socrates, right? So it was also a period where people were very inquisitive, were asking about what is life, you know, what is death. Right? So people were very concerned about that. So the Kalamas happens to be a group of people, and they were also truth seekers. They were very interested to find out what is actually the correct teaching, what is the correct way to attain awakening. And they say that, look, one day one teacher will come and say, my way is the correct way. Another day, another teacher will say, no, that teacher is not right. My way is correct. Follow me. So the Kalamas, obviously, they were a bit confused. Now, who is right? First one say this way, and then second one say, no, that's not right. So follow my way. Third person comes, say the same thing. So they said, well, maybe let's see what the Buddha has got to say, since everybody says the Buddha is the awakened one. So they approached the Buddha, and maybe half of them were expecting the Buddha would say, mine is the best, follow me. But that's not what the Buddha said. So instead, the Buddha said something else. The Buddha told the Kalamas, do not go by oral tradition. Remember, during the Buddha's time, there was no written books, no e-books, no hard copies. Right? So everything was through oral tradition. That means you just listen and then you remember it. Okay? So he said, do not go by oral tradition. Just because you hear it from someone, you believe it. Don't do that. All right? Neither by lineage of teaching or because somebody taught it. All right? Or by hearsay, somebody said this, like a rumor. All right? You know, sometimes we are very prone to that. Say, hey, you know, I just heard this, you know. Is it true? Oh, yeah, must be true. You know, so because more than one person say it, right? So it doesn't mean it is true. So hearsay. By collection of scriptures. So even during the Buddha's time, the Buddha said, even if someone comes to you and says, this is in my holy scriptures, you don't necessarily have to agree to it. Right? By logical reasoning, by inferential reasoning, by reflection on reasons. Now, these three, they are part of Buddhist logic. So, I'm not going to go into details, but basically these three: logical reasoning, by inference, by reflection on reasoning. So, basically, there are some examples I share with you. One is, for example, we say, does the sun rise in the east? Right? Today the sun rise. So, therefore, by inference, the sun will rise in the east tomorrow, and the sun will rise tomorrow, right? But the sun may rise, but tomorrow the sun may not rise. Why? Because it was raining, so you don't see the sun. Right? So by your inference may not work. Right? Now the other way is by logic, by logical reasoning, is you said all dogs have tails. All dogs have tail, right? You agree? Fifi is a dog. Therefore, Fifi has a tail. Logically, you reason that is correct, isn't it? But somebody just cut off Fifi's tail. Some naughty boy just cut off Fifi's tail. So Fifi doesn't have a tail. So even though all dogs have tail, Fifi is a dog, but Fifi doesn't have a tail. You see? So, if you study logic, for example, logical thinking, conclusion is whether your argument is valid or invalid. Nothing to do whether it's true or false. You understand? There are two separate things. This is logic 101. I'm sure you must have learned it. All right, so logical reasoning, you can arrive at a conclusion which says that your argument is valid or invalid, but need not necessarily be true or false. You understand? So that's why during the Buddha's time, he was trying to tell the Indians that, look, logic by itself is good but not good enough. All right? But some certain things you cannot use logic to find out. Like rebirth. How do you use logic to find out rebirth? Can you logically prove, right, that you have lived before through logic? You find it's very difficult. Then there's one discourse the Buddha gave, if you are interested. It's called Pāyasi Sutta. Pāyasi, P-A-Y-A-S-S-I. You Google that, Pāyasi Sutta. And here it was a dialogue between this Pāyasi, right? And where he said that, if how do we know there's rebirth, right? Maybe so this Pāyasi and his friends, they make an arrangement. Whoever dies first, after that you must come back and tell us. Right? This is the gist of Pāyasi Sutta. So you look at the Buddhist teachings, they're quite humorous at times. So of course, one by one they died. And Pāyasi was waiting, nobody came back to tell him. All right? Finally, Pāyasi died, and then he was born in the heavenly realm. All right? So certain things, logic cannot tell you. Right? So this is the basis of Kalama Sutta. But having said that, it doesn't mean that the Buddha say, forget about logic. No, he's not saying that. He's just saying, do not go just by logic. It does not mean that you don't use logic, All right? Logic is still important. All right? Okay? So these are the three. Just give an example. If we want to have a detailed talk on this, then we can go through each one of it. There are actually slight difference between logical reasoning, inference, and reflection. Okay? So they are different. By the acceptance of a view after pondering it, or just because you reflect on it, not necessarily that is the final stage. That is why, if you remember, the Buddha talks about the 3 stages to awakening, right? First, you need to study the teachings, or listen, study and listen. Secondly, you must think about it, you must contemplate, right? Right? But that still doesn't arrive. And thirdly, you must have intuitive experience of it. Right? Buddha talks about the Sutta Maya Panya. Sutta Maya Panya. Panya is wisdom, right? So wisdom through thinking or through listening, Sutta Maya, Sutta, right? Sutta Maya Panya. The second one is through thinking, through reflection, which is called Cinta Maya Panya. So the Buddha said, all these are necessary, but it's not the final one. And finally, Bhavana Maya Panya. Right? So you see, it's a gradual stage. So now you understand why in the Kalama Sutta it says that just by reflecting or just by pondering is not good enough. You need to have an intuitive experience of the teachings. Okay? 5 precepts, for example, we recited the 5 precepts, isn't it? Maybe before you recited the 5 precepts, you must have, I'm sure, listened to some talks, some teachings about 5 precepts. So intellectually, you understand what are the 5 precepts. Intellectually, you also understand the benefits of the 5 precepts. Okay? Then you must put it into practice, isn't it? If you don't practice it, all right, then you're not going to get any third stage, which is the experience. What is the benefit of the 5 precepts? Okay, so there's a three stage. First stage, listening, thinking about it. Second stage, practicing it. And then the third stage is the actual experience of that. So that goes beyond just pondering. And by the seeming competence of a speaker, or just because the speaker can speak very well, the speaker can make a lot of jokes, so you enjoy very much. He's the best speaker because can make so many jokes, you know. And then, so you think he must be the best. he must be the one who tells the truth. But not necessary, isn't it? The Buddha says again, you know, you don't listen just because that speaker speaks very well. So as a result of this, sometimes it's carried to extreme now. That's why sometimes you find that in traditional Buddhist countries, when the monk give a talk, he has a fan in front of him, isn't it? Right? Why do you think he has a fan? Like Thailand, Burma, very hot, right? Need a fan. that could be one reason. But so that you don't identify what he say, the teachings that the monk preach, with the person. You understand? So that fan is so that you listen to the Dhamma, not look at him. That's the message behind it, right? You understand? Right? But of course, today modern communication theory, we must have eye contact. You know, when I talk, I must see you. I must look at your eyes. You know, whether you are you're paying attention. You know, so of course times have changed, right? Okay. So I think the key here is not the speaker, right? I think in some of the sessions previously, I used to share with you this quote from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, right? Remember he says the 5 reliance. Do not rely on what you hear, all right? Do not rely on the person who said, right? And so on. The 5 things, you still remember that, right? So, but you rely on how you can actually apply it, and then you know it for yourself. Okay, so this is seeming competence. And finally, because you think the monk is our teacher, right? Just because you think he's our teacher, so you say, okay, because this guy is a monk. So not necessarily you have to take it away. Yeah. Okay. So this is the first part of it. Now then I think there's one more sit for you. Okay. So we can look at the next one. But when you know for yourselves.
But more than often when we are in doubt, we always say, we go and check with so and so. So is that right?
Yeah.
Is that the right way?
That's why, as I said, it doesn't mean that. You say the other extreme of this is you become a skeptic. Skeptic. You know, skeptic means, since Kalama Sutta said no need to ask, so I don't ask anybody. So that's the other extreme. Remember, the Buddha's teaching always on the middle path. The Kalama Sutta is basically just to tell us that do not just take it as this is correct. Do not assume. You know the word assume. A-S-S-U-M-E.
More than often when we say, go and check with so and so, but when so and so say like that already, then we will come back and go, I checked with so and so already. It's
Yeah.
like that.
We should ultimately check. We should experience for ourselves. That's why I say even the scriptures. Remember he said even the Pāli Canon. You know, I don't think any monk would Bhante Agacita, very learned in the Pāli Sutta. He will not say everything in the Pāli Sutta is correct, isn't it? At the end, we still must use our judgment to understand. Right? That's why Sutta study is very important, so that we see whether is there any inconsistency even in the suttas. Probably you don't find inconsistency, but you will find that certain reference could be different in certain contexts. Sometimes they are different because of different contexts. Yeah. So I think the gist of the Kalama Sutta number 1 is we must not end up as a skeptic. Skeptic means we say, don't believe in this, don't believe in that. Then believe in what? You can't believe in anything. Don't believe what he said. You have to believe, but you got to think for yourself, not blindly accept. That's why ehi pasiko, right? Come and find out for yourself. So
the Buddha said, don't believe in whatever I say. You must investigate.
yeah, this is not the only suttas. There's the other one, I think, which is a parallel to the Kalama Sutta, is a sutta called the Vimamsaka Sutta. That one is even more interesting. Vimam. Now this word means inquiry. This, after the Kalama Sutta, the next sutta in the series is actually the Vimamsaka Sutta. So there are actually two suttas for us. Tell us not to blindly believe. Buddha never said you don't believe. Right? He said don't blindly believe. Right? Certain things is difficult for us to know for sure, like rebirth. How can we prove rebirth? Isn't it? So at some stage you have some faith. Faith, faith. Right? But your faith should be transformed into wisdom. So if you only believe, then you only have faith, you see? So that's why it says faith must lead to wisdom. If you only stuck with faith, it doesn't lead to wisdom, then from a Buddhist perspective, it's not good enough. Right? So that is why, for example, we talk about the 5 spiritual faculties, isn't it? The 5 spiritual, the Pancha Indriya, the 5 spiritual faculties, which is the first of the 5 spiritual faculties, it's faith. You start with faith. With faith, if you have no faith, you won't even come for today's class. Right? Because of that faith, you come for today's class. But you don't come to this class to believe everything that's been said. You come to this class to find out what's been said, so that you go back and verify for yourself. Whether does it make sense? Is it true? If you are in doubt, the Buddha said it is natural for you to have doubt. It is natural. Right? But doubt, don't let it end up as a hindrance. Because doubt is also a hindrance, isn't it? Skeptical doubt. That is a skeptical doubt. Right? Okay? So don't get the Kalama Sutta wrong. Right? And then the 7 factors of enlightenment, one of it is investigation, remember? Yeah, investigation. Yeah. Mindfulness, investigation. So once you have mindfulness, you need investigation. All right? So this tells us how important it is. Okay, but when you know for yourself, these things are unwholesome, blamable, censured by the wise, these things, if undertaken and practiced, lead to harm and suffering, then you should abandon them. Now then you ask, how do I know who is the wise one, isn't it? So then it leads to the next question, right? Based on our own practice and based on our understanding of the scriptures, the definition of who is known as a wise person. And there are many teachings which talks about who describes a wise person. Like in the Mangala Sutta. Mangala Sutta talks about 38 blessings. And one of the blessings is to associate with a wise person. A wise person is called a pandita, a pandit. And then you read the sutta, explain who is a pandit. What is the characteristics of a pandit? Right? And then in many other discourses the Buddha gave, he talks about, what is the characteristics of a good person. So when you know this, then you should abandon them. Right? And then the last one, when you know for yourself these things are wholesome, so it's the reverse. When you know they are wholesome, they are blameless, are praised by the wise, if undertaken and practiced lead to welfare and happiness, then you should engage in them. Okay? So that is the Kalama Sutta. So I think it's important for us to have this attitude of openness, attitude of not blindly believing, what we hear about this, right? So let's go on to the topic itself. Honoring non-human beings. Let's talk about honoring ancestors. Yeah. Why do we need to honor our ancestors. So from the Buddhist perspective, this part about honoring ancestors, he says one is we recollect their kindness, right? Number two, we remember their good deeds. We follow their blameless lifestyles, maybe observe the 8 precepts. We honor them by observing, or maybe 5, right? And then we dedicate merits for good rebirth. So that's the last one we want to look at, isn't it, today? Right? So whether can we dedicate merits for them? All right. So I think that's the topic, right? I don't know if that's the reason why you all come to listen to this. Right?
What about gratitude?
Yeah. So you remember the good deeds, so that's gratitude. Gratitude. So gratitude is also a very important concept. The Buddha uses word katanyu, isn't it? Gratitude. So in one of this discourse called the Katanyu Sutta, the Buddha says, how can we repay the deeds that our parents have given us? Parents bring us up, raise us, take care of us. And the Buddha says, even if you carry your mother on your with your left hand on your shoulder and your father on your right hand on the shoulder, all right, you walk around the universe, you still cannot repay the kindness. The only way you can repay the kindness, you show them the path to wholesomeness, right? So that they themselves will have a good rebirth, right? So here the Buddha talks about the importance of gratitude, right? And even in the Mangala Sutta, isn't it? Gratitude is also one of the blessings. Okay. So dedicate merits for good rebirth. So let's look at this. Please stop me at any time, right? So don't. Okay, so ancestors. So who are our ancestors? So I give you the name of the sutta so that you can go back and then Google it and then you can read. So the sources are all there. So in the Mata Sutta, the word mata. Here mata doesn't mean police mata, no, or your eye. Mata is mother. So you see, even the Sanskrit or the Pali word mata, actually, father is pata. Yeah. So you find that it's very similar to even the European words, mother. Isn't it? Why? Because they come from a same language group. We call the Indo-Gangetic languages, so they are quite similar. So in the Mata Sutta, the Buddha shares his insight on how we have wandered on in samsara since beginningless time. You know what is samsara? Yes. Samsara is this birth and rebirth. The Malay word is sangsara. You know the Malay word? Sangsara? Suffering, right? Sangsara. Right? Mengalami sangsara. That's the Malay word, right? So you know what it means, right? So from the word samsara, they have the Malay word sangsara. Sangsara. So samsara, since beginningless time. Just now I told you 3 things: space, time, and being, right? So Buddhist concept of time is there's no beginning. There's no beginning. There's no beginning of time. Right? So in the Western thinking, time starts from a fixed point in time, right? Isn't it? Like for example, they say time. So time is linear in the Western concept. I think all of us learn the Western way of looking at things, right? When we are born, when we go to school, all of us, we follow this. So this is called linear. So there's a fixed point in time. That is why the Christian Bible, you trace back 6,000 years. So 6,000 years ago, God created the world. But geology today tell you it cannot be 6,000 years. Right? But so it's a linear concept of time. Right? But the Buddhist concept of time is not linear. It's cyclical. So it's cyclical. When it's cyclical, where's the beginning? Can you find a beginning? Where's the beginning? There's no beginning. Right? That is why they said the Indians, well, they claim that they actually give the world the concept of zero. Zero. That's why from that you have concept of emptiness. Emptiness, right? Sunyata. So from this concept of zero, in a zero, where everything is cyclical, you cannot find the beginning. Right? And if you remember, right at the start, I told you space, time, and being, right? So concept of time is, when you talk about time, you're talking about past, present, and future. Right? Isn't that time? You talk about time. Past, present, and future. If you said that the world was created, say, at a certain point in time, the moment the world was created, that present has already become the past. Isn't it? If you think about it. The moment that something has been, like now what the time? 3:19. The moment I say 3:19, 3:19 has already passed already. Because 3:19 a few seconds. Isn't it? 3:19 a few seconds. So the present, the moment you say the present, it has already become the past. Now is, let's say now is 3:20. So 3:20 becomes the present. Then 3:20 becomes the present, immediately becomes the past already. So it keeps on changing, right? So you cannot posit a fixed time. That's what is meant here, right? So beginningless time. So the Buddhist concept is that you just cannot imagine, there's no fixed point in time, right? So compared to the Western concept that there's a linear, because everything is created out of nothing, right? So if you study philosophy, there's a word called creation out of nothing, ex nihilo.
Chinese is Tao.
It's the same, Chinese, Indian concept of zero. So Chinese also claim that they invented zero. So, yeah. So it's a circle. It's a circle. So in a circle, there's no beginning, because when you say the present, the moment that you say present is become the past, right? And then the future. Okay, and that is not easy to find someone whom we have not been related to before. So now this is a very important part here, because of this you came up with a concept of interdependence, right? Interdependence. You know the Buddhist Paticca Samuppada. So Buddhist teaching is we are all interdependent. We are all interrelated. I think Thich Nhat Hanh uses the word interbeing, right? Interbeing. So we are all interrelated. So that being the case, the offerings to the departed, who you offer, you may not know, but that person that you offer, or whoever you offer, could have been related to you in the past.
Someone asked the Buddha, is my offering will go to my departed one?
Yeah. So this is the answer. All right? So everyone is related to us in some way, either as our parents, siblings, relatives, or friends. Okay? So this is just the background. So offering of food. Okay. The tradition of offering food at charnel ground, charnel ground, like cemetery, cemetery, like during Qingming, was practiced even during the Buddha's time. Right? So it's not only now. So during Buddha's time, they also have this practice. Now, where do we know? If you read the Vinaya, right, the Pācittiya 40, a monk not only used the shrouds of the corpses for his robes, but also ate food offerings made to departed ones in the burial ground. Right? So this thing even existed during the Buddha's time. Right? But because of this, subsequently there's a Vinaya rule that says that monks cannot just go and take food if they are not offered. So there's a story that this monk, so he stayed in the charnel ground, so whatever people offer, he just take the food and eat. Then after a while, people spread rumors that actually he was eating the corpse. Then because they say he has grown very fat, so eating the corpse. So then after the monk said, you better don't do that. Let people offer you. Right? So you look at the Vinaya, all the rules for the monks and nuns, they were actually given because of certain incidents or certain occasions. Like for the monks, they have in the Theravada, they have 227, and then the nuns about 250, and then the Mahayana, they even more. So it's not a case that one day or over a period of time the Buddha was free, nothing to do. He sat down on the tree, he start jotting down what rules to give the monks. He didn't do that. It all came because of situations. Okay, you understand? So that's the Vinaya. Okay, so family. So the practice of making offerings to departed relatives also discussed Sigalovada Sutta, the section expounding the 5 responsibilities of children, and the 5th responsibility to continually make offerings to departed relatives. So I show you 2 suttas. One is the Mattasa Sutta, the other is the Sigalovada Sutta. I think Sigalovada Sutta you are more familiar, right? So that is supposed to be the discipline for lay people, right? In that the discourse called the Sigalovada Sutta, given to this man called Sigala. That's his name, right? So the Buddha basically tell him what you should do, right? What you should do as a responsible lay person. So this sutta is another example. Now the third one is the Tirokuta Sutta. So Tirokuta Sutta, this is in the Kudaka Nikaya. This is in the minor collections, right? Describe circumstances of departed ones with reference to their living relatives. So the sutta states that living relatives should make offerings of food and drinks to the departed ones. In this same sutta, there is also a reference to offerings made to the Sangha. Have you heard of the Tirokuta Sutta?
Yeah.
You have, right? I think you know about it. But for those who are not. So this discourse was given because it said that during the Buddha's time, there was a king. His name was Bimbisara, supposed to be the king's devotee. So King Bimbisara one day actually invited the Buddha and some monks for lunch dana, for a meal. And after the meal, that night, it seems that the whole palace, there were a lot of strange, funny noises, groans and things like that. So very, like haunted, all right? So King Bimbisara got very, very worried. What did he do? He gave food to the Buddha, and then suddenly he get all this strange, voices, like you watch in the movie The Fantastic Beasts, those kind of things. So he went to ask the Buddha, and the Buddha said, well, Bimbisara, you have many relatives, who have passed away, and when they knew that you were actually making offerings to the Buddha, to the Sangha, you did not offer to them. So they came asking for offerings. Okay? They came to ask for offerings. So the standard Buddhist explanation is sometimes they appear in your dreams. Could be your parents, could be your uncles, your relatives, your spouse, your children who may have passed away. So they appear in the dream, sometimes, in pitiful state, sometimes they just say, they ask for something, right, in your dreams. So then the Buddha says, in this sutta, then you should make offerings to them. So what kind of offerings do you make? Okay. Now, who can benefit? All right. Who can benefit? Now, there's another discourse, Janusoni Sutta. So we don't have time to go through each of the sutta. Otherwise, you'll take 2 days, right? So I just give you the name of the discourse so that you can. So in this discourse, which is found in the Book of 10, Janusonin was a Brahmin, right? So he asked the Buddha if departed relatives can benefit from offerings made to them. Okay? What did the Buddha reply? He said, if there's an opportunity, all right, they can. If there's no opportunity, cannot. Now, what is this opportunity? He then clarified that the deceased can only benefit from the offerings if they are born as ghosts. Ghosts. All right. So, the Buddhists, they are space, time, and being, right? So these beings, so they exist in Buddhist cosmology. So we talk about 31 planes of existence, right? 31 planes, isn't it? But basically you can summarize the 31 into six realms. Right? So you have got, for example, human. What else? Well, you know what are realms? You got the Deva, then you got the six animal, then you got ghost. What else? Hell realms, right? And then you got Asura. Six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now in the Janu Soni Sutta, only 5 are mentioned. Right? If you read the Sutta, only 5 are mentioned. Which is not mentioned there? Asuras are not mentioned. Asura. Asulo. Right? This is very interesting word. This is Ashura. And anybody know Japanese? You know, there's a Japanese word called shuraba. You know? Shuraba. It's not some kind of some food that you can call when you go to a Japanese restaurant. Shuraba means like when you are in a, you're in a state of predicament, you are in a state of challenge, or the life and death kind of situation. If you are in business, maybe some challenges, you're going to lose your business, new competitors are coming in. So in Japanese they call a shuraba moment, a moment of shuraba. Actually, the word shuraba comes from the word ashura. I found it came from the word ashura. So who are these asuras? So you see in the well, we don't have time to talk about stories, but in the world systems, human world, we are all humans, unless there are some non-humans sitting here. I don't know. I think all of you are humans, right? Right. That animal world, I think we know. Animal, insects, all this animal world. Now ghosts, we'll talk a little bit about. Then hell realms. And then this Asura. Now Asuras and Devas, they're actually from the same. It said that the Deva worlds, the original inhabitants were the Asuras. Right? They were the Devas. But it is said that, of course it's a story, just cut short, that there's the king of the Devas, his name is Saka or Sakra. Right? In Indian is Indra, right? Sakra. So Sakra and a group of 33 of his companions, they're very good people. So when they die, they were reborn into this heavenly realm. So when they reach the heavenly realm, the name, they also got name, it's called Tavatimsa. So when they were born there, the inhabitants at that time were the Asuras. So they were very happy, they welcomed this Sakra and his companions. So they say, come, let's enjoy ourselves, let's have some wine, Devas are not enlightened, right? All right, so they invited the Sakra and his gang, said, come, let's have some wine, let's have some, good food, in the heaven world they enjoy a lot, right? So then they serve them very strong wine, maybe the best champagne you can find in the heaven world. So when the Sakra knew that, Sakra told his companions, no. We better not do that. You do that, you're going to get yourself intoxicated, you're going to lose your sense. But the Asuras, they don't bother, they continue to enjoy, they drink. And true enough, they all got drunk. When they got drunk, they become very gross, very filthy. And Saka and his companions say, come on, this is heaven. How can we have this type of people behaving in such manner? Let's throw them down. So Sakra and his companions threw the Asuras down and because they were so drunk, they were so intoxicated, they didn't even know what happened. They thought it was part of the fun. So they were thrown down into the great oceans. Right? And of course, then Sakra has the heavens all to himself. So after a long period of time, when the Asuras, they woke up, they realized, hey, we are no more in heaven, we are down there. So they try to get back. That's why all the stories of the fighting. It's a story, huh? my job is not to tell you stories. Yeah. But this is how they are called asuras. Actually, the other way you can look at it, Pāli asura, the A is a prefix, right? It means negative. What is sura? You know your fifth precept? Sura me raya. What is sura me raya? Intoxicants. So it is said that while the asuras, when they woke up from the intoxication, they were chanting, asubha, asura. So they're saying like, we should not be intoxicated again. So from that one. But the other explanation is the sura is also the sun, surya. Right. So now asurya means dark. They're dark. Now what is interesting, this one is a diversion. In Persia, or in Iran, there's a religion called Zoroastrianism. Have you heard of this religion? Zoroastrianism. Have you heard of this religion? It's a Persian, Parsi. The people in Iran are actually Persians, right? So we call them Parsis, right? So their actually religion before Islam is actually Zoroastrianism. They still have Zoroastrianism in India, for example, some followers. Now in Zoroastrianism, they worship the sun, right? And the god is called Azura Mazda. So you can see very close parallel there, right? So what this tells us is that there's a lot of free floating literature across the world. So certain concepts, you find not only in Buddhism, you find in Hinduism, you find in Zoroastrianism, you find in Christianity. For example, later when we talk about the Devas, the Devas, Indra, or later in Buddhism it becomes Sakra or Sakka. Sakka, if you look at the characteristic, resembles very much like the Greek god Zeus. You know Zeus, Z-E-U-S? The characteristics very, very similar. Zeus also got thunderbolt, or later in the Vikings, the Thor, Thor. Now all those things, of course, today you watch the Avengers, right? But actually, all this is mythology, mythology from the past. So human beings, we survive based on mythology. Right? Mythology is not a question of true or false. It's just in our psyche as a human. We believe, we want to have all those things. That's why we like Star Wars, right? You like Star Wars, right? Oh. How many episodes Star Wars? Yeah. Today, yeah. I watched the first Star Wars movie that I watched. I was in first year in university. Today, my children are still watching different episodes of Star Wars. You see, so it's an endless, it's a kind of thing.
But now you look back, the old one, you feel so funny. Why they?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
okay. So so there are six realms. So this is the ghost realm. Now, what is this ghost realm? So this ghost realm, so here the Buddha says petas, right? Or preta. This is Sanskrit, right? If you follow Mahayana Buddhism or Chinese Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, so you will not see the word peta. This is Pali, so you will see the word preta. If you look at the Tibetan or Chinese or Japanese, right? So they mean ghosts. Actually, the word translated as the departed ones, not actually ghosts. The literal translation for peta or preta is the departed ones. Now, why are they called hungry ghosts? They're always hungry, like some of us, right? So there's a lot of, again, I don't have time, but if you are interested, let's say tonight you can't sleep, you want to read ghost stories. So that's a book called Peta Vatu. Petavatu. So you read this, I think there's a total of about 31 stories, or 51, I can't remember, about 31 over stories about ghosts, hungry ghosts, right? And they all have, they are actually stories about beings, in their previous life, because of they are very mean, they don't do enough of generosity, right? So as a result, when they pass away, they are reborn into this category of living beings called Petas. Now, they are always suffering in a sense, not as bad as in the hell realms, right? So compared to hell realms, they are not as bad. It is said that the Petas, the only moment or time when they can get some relaxation or happiness is when somebody thinks of them and make offerings to them. At that moment, then the joy arises in them. So relieve them of their suffering. Right? So that is the
question about offerings. Is it necessary to offer food? You see people who offer roast pig. And now people are changing to offering flowers.
Yeah. No,
It's the idea. It's only the idea.
absolutely, you are right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You see, you're absolutely right. From the Buddhist perspective, offerings need not be only physical food, right? You do a blood donation in memory of certain people, all right? You print Dhamma books for free distribution in memory of them. You donate to charitable organizations, right? You do voluntary service in memory of them. Yeah? So not only to offer food, but offering food is a traditional way. Yeah, it's a traditional way. Puja to the triple gem, you offer flowers, right? Like you said, offer flowers, incense, light, water, reciting Dhamma, teaching Dhamma, listening to Dhamma discussion, freeing captive animals. So you can do a lot of things, all in memory. Yeah, okay? And is it something only Asians do? No, I think the Westerners, they also do. A good example is Stanford University. You know where Stanford University, right? One of the best universities in the world, right? Stanford University. You know, Stanford University is named after the Stanford family under Leland Stanford, right? So he said that this young man went to study in Harvard, right? But he died. He died in Harvard. So the family was so rich, so they wanted to go and build a statue of this Leland Stanford in Harvard in memory. In memory, you can say from Buddhist as an offering. Then the Harvard guy, the dean Harvard said, we have too many statues in Harvard already, so we don't need another statue. Then the guy said, but can we donate a building then? He said, but building is very expensive, So the Harvard guy told this Stanford family, very expensive. How much? How expensive? Oh, 50,000 US. Those days, right? 50,000 is a lot of money. So Stanford was thinking, 50,000, I can set up a university. So he set up a university and called it Stanford University in memory of Leland Stanford. So the memory is always there. So that is a form like an offering. So when we do some charity in memory of someone that we love, someone that we cherish, so that's one way. So the memory stays with them. Right? So if Leland Stanford became a Peta, so I'm sure he'll rejoice. All right? Okay, so not necessary. So you're absolutely right. From the Buddhist perspective, it's not only offering roast pig. And from a Buddhist perspective, if we offer food, we don't offer roast pork. We don't go and slaughter chickens. Isn't that right? We don't do that. If we are Buddhists, right? But if we are non-Buddhist, maybe Taoist, maybe Confucianist, right? Because the old mother likes to eat the roast chicken, so you offer roast chicken, right? Isn't it? And then after you offer, you pray, then you take back in, you say, the chicken no more taste already because all the acid eaten by the mother already. But actually it's the son, isn't it? The son has already absorbed all the thing. Yeah, it's when you do dana, that's why you say when we offer the three moments. One is before, One is during and one is after. So when you want to offer something to a deceased, right? So before that, we think of the deceased, so and so have passed away, in memory. I would like to make this offering. Wherever he may be born, may he or she, benefit from this,
This is also the culture and tradition of the Chinese.
Yeah.
They do the offering of
It's an Asian, it's not only Chinese. It's an Asian thing. Yeah.
Indian also do.
Yeah, it's an Asian thing. Indian, Burmese, Thais, Sri Lankans, everybody do it. So before you offer, then during the moment when you are offering, and after means that you don't regret. I remember this guy when he was alive, a terrible guy. You remember the bad things that he did. No, you make that offerings. Right? So it's always, as Buddhists, we always believe whatever good that we do is always good to remember our departed relatives. Right? We offer because we never know. It is said that they are always there waiting for people to offer. So if they know that there's someone who is offering to them something, they, at least at that moment, they rejoice. Right? For them to rejoice. Okay? So, only if they are born as ghosts. So these are the ghosts, they are called petas. There's a lot of graphic presentation of petas. You read the Peta Vatu, right? Peta Vatu. There's, I think, 31 stories.
Some petals without bones hanging.
Yeah, some petas, they are only skeletons. Some petas, the body is so huge, the neck is very small. So whatever food that goes in cannot satisfy, right? So it said that some are very ghastly, so they can't eat solid food. They can't even take a grain. They can only take the like certain liquid, certain pus, Yeah, so they're forever hungry. Right? But again, if you read the stories, right, there's also one type of petas called the Peta Vimana. Peta Vimana. So in other words, these petas, actually part of the time they stay in the heavens. Why? But other times they suffer. Like daytime, they are very happy, like living in the heavens. But at night, they suffer. That's because of the mixed karma. Right? So in life, we like in the Janus Sonin Sutta, they also talk about, like if you do a lot of charity, you do a lot of dana, but you never keep your precepts, then what happened? You're born as an animal, but as a pet. Maybe you become a pet to, I don't know, to Joe Biden, or you become a pet to no more Queen Elizabeth, King, who is it? Who's the new king? King Charles. King Charles. So you become a pet. Right? And sometimes pets, one of my neighbors, she has got two dogs, and she go and buy the pork from the what is that? The unshin pork, I said, I also don't eat the dog pork. Unshin pork and feed the dog. And then send vitamin cat.
So the fur will be very
They send the dog for grooming, for shampooing, all these things.
give the carrot juice.
And then the special barber to cut.
Yeah.
I told her I only go to the Indian barber only. So 15 ringgit.
Buy ribbons for her.
So the it's called Peta Vimana Vatu. Yeah, Peta Vimana. This word Vimana, just now I told you about the heavens, right? Okay, later we will come to this. So this word Vimana will be like celestial mansion. So this Peta, they live there. So they got different types. So you read that stories, there are 30 over such stories. Yeah? Scared. Okay, rebirth as petas. It is difficult to know where a departed one is reborn. However, even if the departed relative was not born as a ghost in the peta realm, other ghosts who were related to one in previous lives could eat the offerings. However, the Buddha explained it is possible that one's relative going back 7 generations could be reborn as Petas. In this sutta, the Janu Sonin Sutta, Janu Sonin asked the Buddha, he said, okay, you said, if I make offerings, it can only go to my relatives if they are born as Petas. Then he said, what happens if my relative is not born as a Peta? Then the Buddha said, look, even if your relative is not born as a Peta, all right, but the other beings who are born as Petas, when they know that you are making this offering, they also can benefit. That's one. Secondly, the Buddha also said, it is very unlikely that you don't have a relative going back 7 past generations who is not born in a Peta. Right? So probably all of us have also been born as Petas before. Right? And the third thing the Buddha says in the Janu Sonin Sutta is, even if 7 generations there's none of your relative born as a Peta, still that act of yours is a very meritorious act. So you got nothing to lose. You get what I mean? So you see, the Buddha was very skillful. Right? See, the Buddha's answer is like Socrates. You see? So he actually gives you makes you think. It makes you think. Right? So remember, it's quite impossible to imagine that none of your relative is not born a Peta, going back 7 past generations. Now, you may not know them. I don't think you know your relatives 7 generations ago, right? Would you? You won't know. But it is said that they would know you. So you may not know them, but they know you. Huh? It is said. Okay? That's why I said this type of talks, I can only... Right?
Yeah, they say the rebirth takes place immediately. You know, the Theravada school is immediately. Mahayana says 49 days. And they're already reborn. So, where are they?
Where are they? If you follow whether it's the immediate or the 49 days, they are reborn into one of the 6 realms. They are already reborn. That is why the Buddha says, if they are reborn as an animal, that offerings that you make, they can't benefit. Right? That's why Buddha, only if they are born as a Peta. Okay? Okay. Now, the 6 realms, right? In the teachings, the animal realm, the Brahma realms, okay, including the Asuras, their lifespan are mentioned. How long they live. But for humans, for animals, and for Petas, their lifespan is not mentioned. All right? So Petas are transitional beings. They can live for a long period of time, or they could be a very short period of time, and then they get reborn. Whereas for the heavenly realms, the 6 heavenly realms, right? So each realm, how their lifespan is mentioned. Right? Okay? Right? Is mentioned. But for the Petas, for the animal, like animal, there's no fix. For humans, so there's no fix. Okay? All right? Okay. Now, relief for Peta. So, according to the commentary to Tirukutta Sutta. Now, you know the meaning of commentary. Huh? You know, many of the suttas that we have, you just read the sutta, it doesn't really tell you a lot of things. Right? But it's the commentaries, you know. So, that's why some people say commentaries, that one is, you know, the Kai Liawan, people say. So, they Kai Liawan, you know. So many some Orthodox Buddhists they don't want to follow the commentaries, but the commentaries are there, right? So I'm just it's up to you whether you want to listen to commentaries, you don't want to follow. It's up to you, right? But
sometimes the commentary will make you understand more.
Well, that's the intention, That's the intention. Now, commentary from the Theravada tradition, it said that all essentially comes back to Buddha Ghosha. The 5th century guy, right? The Sri Lankan monk. But you see, commentators like Buddha Ghosha, the modern day commentators, there are also many. It's just that because they are not in the 5th century, so we don't pay so much attention. People like, for example, now many of the things that we learn, like meditation, right? They actually, if you follow the Mahasi method, so Mahasi Sayadaw. You look at all his teachings, actually what he's experienced, So it's a commentary. Lady Sayadaw, the other great Burmese monks. And today, if you are follow, like you go to Babs, they are the Ajahn Chah's tradition. So everything is what Ajahn Chah said. So Ajahn Chah is like the modern day commentator, right? Then you have like someone like Bhante Agachita, another. Usually when they are alive, people don't consider it. Maybe 100 years later, Agachita no more around, they refer back, based on this commentary by Agachita. So he becomes a commentator. Or Pāʻau, now the Dhamma Earth, is it? So, for them, everything what Pāʻau says, isn't it? So eventually, all these things is compounds. But these are the words of, you can call them enlightened masters, or in the Mahayana tradition, Master Shingyin, all those. So their words eventually become great commentators, right? So in the Pāli tradition, mainly is Buddhaghosa, but the Abhidhamma, you got Anuruddha, right? Anuruddha, the one, the Abhidhamma Sangaha, right? So that's the compendium of the Abhidhamma. So there are, but not as many as the Mahayana, right? Mahayana, they have more. Okay? So according to the commentary we stop at 4, maybe for a short break. Yeah? According to the commentary to Tirokutta Sutta, the donor must think of the deceased and dedicate the dana to him. So you got to think of the deceased. If the departed one is reborn as a hungry ghost, rejoicing in the offering made to him can give him immediate relief. His suffering ceases during the moments he rejoiced in offerings made to him. So the moment when he knows about this. So the story about the Tirokutta Sutta, right? So the second day when King Bimbisara invited the Buddha and his disciples back and offered dana. So he said that then the King Bimbisara offered. And what did he do? The Buddha, King Bimbisara, poured some water on the Buddha's hand to wash his hand. So when he poured some water, then he said that in the Peta world, it's like a fountain of water. So then they were able to enjoy the water. So that actually the pouring of water. So today, like you invite especially Sri Lankan monks, right? So they do the pouring of water. So that one is so that is symbolic to show that just as the water is overflowing, right? So is my generosity. So is my kindness, my generosity is overflowing. There's no end to my generosity for the benefit of others. So it's symbolic. So it's important for us to understand this. So we can, rather than saying, just pour water and you don't know what's the meaning. Right? So that's a meaning. So it's a good meaning. Right? It's a good meaning for that. Yeah?
They always get it.
Yeah. That means the generosity is overflowing so that they will always, have yeah.
Nowadays, you must be careful with scammers. So
Oh,
they
right.
yes,
Scammers, huh? Yeah.
be careful with scammers.
Yeah.
Generosity is wisdom lah.
Yeah.
Already told you must
Yeah.
translate your faith, translate to
Yeah. Okay, so we always have to be there. Okay, you want to have a short break? Then let's see, any more? Maybe one more. So sharing of merits. So you can say may whoever your parents, your spouse, your whoever your uncle may so and so appreciate and rejoice in this sharing of merits and therefore be happy, well and peaceful. May all beings appreciate and rejoice in this sharing of merits and therefore be happy, well and peaceful. And may these merits lead to the attainment of Nibbana, the ultimate happiness, the greatest peace. Now, you don't have to follow this. You can say whatever. Important thing is your thoughts. Okay? Like of course my dad has passed away, so whenever I had the opportunity, I was always say, may my late father, wherever he may be reborn, may he have peace and happiness, may he find peace and happiness until he attained the final bliss of Nibbana or Nirvana. So I think that kind of wish for our departed, right? It could be your parents, or if your parents are still alive, it could be somebody else, right? So or whoever that's close to you. Yeah.
Should we use what's the difference between sharing and transferring?
Yeah. There's a talk by the late Venerable Kesari Dhammananda, Actually, the word is technically you cannot transfer, neither can you share, because each one is their own karma, isn't it? But as the example show, when you do something in memory of so and so, when that person remembers it, when he knows it, he rejoices. You get what I mean? So he benefits, right? So in that sense, we say we share merits. Now, if he doesn't know it, can he benefit? Now, this is subject to some controversial feedback. Some people said, if your power is so strong, right, even the guy doesn't know, you can radiate your metta, for example, and that person can feel it, right? So it depends. So he may or may not know it, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think again, as our brother mentioned, offering doesn't mean that you make offering, it must be food. Each time, you go and then every time you go to cook something or you got to ask Grab to bring you food, that is going to be very, it's not very practical, right? So anytime you do something meritorious, anytime, in one day when you're awake, anytime you do anything meritorious, you can always radiate, share merits. Isn't it? You can always share merits. Very simple. So Buddhism is supposed to be a very simple religion, not complicating that you must have roast pork, and a whole pig, and then you can make offerings. Okay, you can do it anytime, right? And you give a donation, for example, and again, not necessarily to a Buddhist temple, hospice, to a hospital, to an old folks' home, and it's a good act, isn't it? Because you're benefiting someone by that act of doing, you recall. So one good method is that before we go to bed, I think this is what Achanjaya Saro, he actually recommends before we go to bed, before we go to sleep, when we lie in bed, we think, what did we do when we were awake? Did we do something good? If we did something good, let's rejoice. We share merits with whoever that has that we have benefited. So that is like it's called Chaga Nusati. You heard of Chaga Nusati? Buddha Nusati, right? That means you recall the words, the qualities of the Buddha. Buddha Nusati, the 9 qualities of the Buddha. You can recite, you chant. It's a form of meditation. That's the basis for the Mahayana, the Nianfo, the Namo Amitofo. Right? So in the Theravada, they call it the Buddha Nusati. So they recall or they chant the name of the Buddha. Then Dhamma Nusati, you chant the name, the 6 virtues of the Dhamma. And then Sangha Nusati, then you recall the qualities of the Sangha, the noble Sangha, not the monk that you think scam you, not the monk, the noble Sangha. All right. So you chant Sangha Nusati and Dana Nusati. Chaga Nusati. That's the 4th one. Chaga Nusati means, Chaga is another word for Dana. That's another word for Dana. C-A-G-A, Chaga. Same word. So Chaga Nusati. That means before you retire, before you close your eyes, you recall, I've done something. Like today, I spent some time, share the Dhamma with you. I'm very happy, I rejoice. So before I go to bed, I will recall this as an important incident in my waking life, So then I use that occasion, I share merits. I don't have to go to the kitchen and cook and cook some chicken or pork and offer, right? Okay, any other questions before we have a short break? We end at 5, isn't it? Because I know time is a concept, I told you, but since we end at 5, I'll end at 5. Okay, you have no question, we have a maybe 10-minute break. This is offering to Devas. Now, Devas, so Okay, so you see, unlike other religions where they talk about when you die, you got one heaven, right? But here we got 6 heavens for you to choose from. So you won't. I used to joke with my colleague in America, and they were saying, said, who wants to go to heaven? It's going to be damn boring, isn't it? Then one of them said, he asked the priest, heaven got sex or not? Heaven no sex. No, then why go to heaven? No, but in Buddhist heaven got sex. So Buddhist heaven, these are called sensual heavens. Okay, they are sensual heavens. Human world is a sensual world. Okay, the other way is the Buddhist separation of space or of the world system into 3. One is the sensual world, like animals, humans, petas, the 6 heavenly realms. So these are called world of sense world. Then the next level will be the Brahma world, the world of form. Then no sex, right? Only no male, no female. Only neuter. You know the word neuter? Neuter. All right. So whereas the sensual world, you got female, you got male. All right. So that's the difference. So this is called the sensual world. So you got 3 worlds: the sensual world, the form world, and the formless world. All right. So how do people attain those form worlds? Through jhanas. Those who do jhanas, right? So they attain that. Right. Now, so you got 6 devas, right? So when Buddha talks about offering to devas, now are they talking about all 6? Essentially, these 2 levels, they are in contact with humans, right? They are in contact with humans. Don't ask me how do I know? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I understand. That's why I say. That's why I said, don't believe what I say, but this is what I share with you from what our text says, right? And I don't doubt the text, right? I think, I take the Buddha as the awakened one, I take the scriptures as representing the truth, right? So this is what I read. But honestly, I don't know, okay? I don't know. But it is said that these 2. So this is the Chatu Maharaja Jika Deva. These are they call it the 4 heavenly realms. So 4 heavenly realms, there are 4 like guardians, like guardians of the galaxies, right? So these guardians, they are 4 again. So then this the 4. Then you got the north, you got the south, you got the west, you got the east. Okay. So it says each one of these kings, they have got like followers or lesser devas, right? So like for example here you have the yakas. You heard of yakas? In Sanskrit it's yaksha. I think local Chinese call yao guai. From the word yaksha, in Sanskrit, yaka is this. So this is yaka. Yakas are huge beings. Huge. You go to Thai temples, ferocious looking. 8 people. Right. Okay, so this is yakas. Then south, you have got another beings called kumbandas. Kumbandas are like dwarfs, small dwarf, and the way they are depicted, they got giant testicles. Very strange, right? So they are like dwarfs, right? So another category of beings. And then here, what else do you think? What else other beings have you heard? You got yakas, you got kumbanda, huh? Nagas. Nagas. Yeah, nagas. Nagas will be like serpents, snakes, nagas. Right. And then here? Anybody? Nagas? You got it here, over here. That under the east. Huh? Garuda is somehow is not mentioned here, but yes, Garuda and Kinnaras, there are many others, but here is actually Gandhabas. You know Gandhabas? Huh? Musicians. So the Gandhabas, you know the story of Prince Siddhartha on his final night before he became enlightened. He was meditating. He heard some sound from the forest. Then he tried to find out more. He found actually it was somebody playing a musical instrument, playing a veena or a lute. You know. So first time when he heard it, the sound was not nice. Then he inquired, because the strings of the lute were too tight. Then the second time he listened again, the sound also not nice. Then he inquired, this time the strings were too loose. Right? Of course, Buddhist story must have 3 times, right? So the third time, he heard it. This time, the music was perfect. Just nice. Why? The strings of the lute were not too tight, it was not too loose. And who was playing that? It was a kind of a heavenly musician called a Gandhabba. It's a Gandhabba. Okay? So these are celestial creatures. Right? So again, how to tell you? I've not seen them. Okay. Then of course you mentioned Garuda. Garuda are the giant birds, right? The giant birds, right? And then you got the other one, Kinnara. Kinnara and Kinnari. Kinnari will be female. Kinnara is the male. You know the Pucha. Yeah. Kinnara, yeah. So it's the name of that. It's Kinnari. They are bird lah. They are humans and then human birds. You know. So the yakas, these are the very powerful beings. I think in the Western mythology, you are familiar with ogre. It's a myth like that. Ogres. And in the Buddhist teachings, one of the most famous yaka is Alavaka. Alavaka. The very famous yaka. Remember the story where the Buddha was, one day the Buddha went inside a cave. He was sitting down in meditation. Actually, that cave happens to belong to Alavaka, the yaka who wasn't there. So Buddha sat in. Then Alavaka came back and said, how come people sitting in my cave? Then Alavaka told the Buddha, why are you here? Then he chased the Buddha out. So the Buddha went out. Then after the Buddha went back again. And then the dialogue. So Alavaka said, why ask you to leave when you do not want to leave? Then Buddha says, I will leave if you... No, then he threatened the Buddha and said, if you don't leave, I'm going to throw you out. Got the huge size, right? Then the Buddha says, well, I will leave if you can answer me 3 questions. Remember? So then Buddha asked Alavaka. Then Alavaka couldn't answer the question. Then Alavaka came pay respect. And Alavaka became a disciple of the Buddha. So the yakas, sometimes they are also, you see, all these, they are protectors. They are also protectors of the Dhamma. Even though it is said that they go after those people who don't keep the precepts. So they catch them, make them prisoners. Now, there are 4 kings. So each one has got a king. They got names. I'm not going to bore you with all the Pali names. So Yaka has got a king. The Gandhabas also have a king. For this quarter, the Kumbandas also have. So the Nagas also have. And this Tawatimsa Devas, this Chatu Maharajaka Devas, they are the one that supports the Tawatimsa gods. So the Tawatimsa head is Saka. You know Saka? You heard of Saka, right? So Saka is Sakra in Sanskrit. So Saka is the heaven of 33. So when you see the word heaven of 33, that's Tawatimsa heaven. So these 2 heavens, so Saka depends on these 4 guardians with their followers to defend the Tawatimsa against the Asuras. Remember they fight with the Asuras, right? So now they're still fighting, right? Like in the Middle East, they never end. Like in the Middle East, the Arabs and the Israelis. So they are still fighting. So it's here you notice that the devas are not enlightened beings, right? Right. So that's why the 9 characteristics of the Buddha, Satta Deva Manusanang. So he said the Buddha is the teacher of gods and men. Right? The teacher, Buddha is the teacher of gods and men. So that's why we pay respect to the Buddha, all right, as our teacher. But we respect the gods because they are the one who have become where they are because of their good deeds. So we respect them. And they can actually help us, not spiritually, but help us in our mundane, or maybe help us to keep us safe, right? And if you, some of you old enough like me to have the opportunity to have met the late Kesari Dhammananda, and he tells about many stories about how, of course he couldn't explain it. So he felt that it was thanks to the devas he was safe. He was talking about one occasion in Sri Lanka. He was supposed to go onto a bus, and then something just scrubbed up in his mind. Then he remembered, he forgot there was a little girl that every time when he's there, he will give her some sweets. Then this trip, he forgot to buy some sweets. So he said, I'm going to miss that bus, but never mind, I think I should go and get some sweets and give to the girl. So he missed that bus, he got some sweets for the girl, and then after wait for the second bus, they went on the second bus and took on the second bus. The second bus was passing by a certain drive. He saw the first bus crash down into the ravine, and the front part was all smashed. And then he said, "Do you know that in Sri Lanka, the best part of the bus they reserve for monks, the front seat?" So gone. So then he was saying that there's an occasion now, So, and of course he mentioned many more stories. So sometimes we have strange things like that we cannot explain. We cannot explain. Even I remember when I was in my second year of, maybe first year in university, after some Dhamma talks, going back. So at the time, we ride motorbikes. So, and I was about to turn right, but I wasn't careful. So there was a 8-ton wheeler, So you just bang, over my motorcycle. But somehow I felt something just pushed me out. I also don't know what happened. Something just pushed me out. And I just fell down there. But after that, I look at it, the whole bike was smashed, completely flattened. Right. So the next day, I think Star Paper came out with the news. Motorcycle completely scratched. Young boy at that time, boy escaped unhurt, So I also cannot explain it. So, but I felt that something pushed me out. Yeah, I cannot explain it. Well, it was really, the whole thing was smashed. You look at it, you can't imagine it. So sometimes devas they help you in that. But maybe they can't take you to nirvana. They can't, because they themselves are in need of nirvana. So they can help you, right? In that sense, right? Okay. So these are the two. So they are closely in touch with humans. So like we have contact with yakas, with gandhabas, with nagas, with kumbanda. So we are always in contact with all these beings. Sometimes we see them, sometimes we don't. Right? But he said that they can see it. Now these are the higher realms. Right? So this is the Tushita. That's where the Buddha, Prince Siddhartha, his final birth. Remember, he was reborn there. So it is said that now Metteyya Buddha, the next Buddha, is in Tushita heaven. But Metteyya is not going to come until the teachings of the present Buddha is completely forgotten, right? So from the traditional Theravada perspective, there can only be one Samma Sambuddha, one fully enlightened Buddha. So it is said that as long as people can still remember even one verse from the teachings of the Gautama Buddha, Metteyya Buddha, he'll still be there until when completely forgotten, and then you have the period where you have, they call Pacheka Buddhas, those silent Buddhas. Then after a certain period, then Metteyya. When Metteyya Buddha comes, he teaches the same teachings. 4 Noble Truths, Eightfold Path. He's not going to come out and now I'm going to give you 5 Noble Truths. It's going to be the 4 Noble Truths. So I said that the Buddhas, they are just discoverer. They discover the truth. And they share with us after a long period of time. All right? So it's always there. Okay? So that's Metteyya Buddha. In the Chinese tradition, it's Maitreya. Yeah? Milohood. Okay? So this Yama, not much is said about Yama, that's the higher realm. Okay? Yama Raja, the god of, like you said that, when you die, then you're reborn. If you are born in the heavens, then Yama will ask, okay, there's a book of what you did when you are alive. Yama Ong, So not much is mentioned about Yama, right? And then Nimana Rati and Paranimita Vasavati. So each one of it, they've got a kind of a leader there, but you must not see this leader as permanent, It's like more like an officer, So like Saka, the present Saka, after when the karma that causes Saka to be born in Tavatimsa heaven is over, then he'll be reborn in another place. Then somebody else will become Saka. So they will change. So these two, they are the highest of the heavenly realms. And this one in particular, Paranimita Vasavati, this is where Mara is located. Mara? You heard of Mara, right? Mara is Mara is not Satan in other religions, right? The fact that Mara is reborn here because Mara has also done a lot of good deeds. But why is he here? He's like actually the real leader is Vasavati. So Mara is like a rebel prince, in one section of these heavens. So he's always always wants to see that people, like for example Mara during the Prince Siddhartha before he became the Buddha, he wants to stop a person from attaining enlightenment. He just wants them to be caught in this sense realm. So whoever wants to get out of the sense realm, he'll be there to stop you in that sense. Okay, so that's Mara. So Mara is not the evil one like in Buddhism, like in other religions. Right? There's also a story said that subsequently, I think during King Ashoka time, there was a monk called Upatissa. King Ashoka, so Upatissa time, and Upatissa actually converted Mara, right? And then Mara became a good person. So then they also changed. Okay, right. So anyway, offering to Deva. So today's topic is not about Devas, but just about offerings. Right? So I just mentioned to you. So just remember this, yeah. So Patakama Sutta. So there are 2 suttas. Buddha said to Anantapindika. Anantapindika, is the lay disciple, right, of the Buddha, that a noble disciple who acquired his income through righteous means should use it by making 5 types of offerings. That is to his living relatives, to his guests, to his departed relatives, to the king, and to the devas. Now this is a very interesting point, Patakama Sutta. He says, noble disciple who acquired his income through righteous means. Right, you see the word there, righteous means. That means in Buddhism, wealth is not a problem. All right, it's not like in some religions they said the wealthy will find it difficult to enter the kingdom of heaven. Right. So, but in Buddhism, wealth or your income is not a problem, as long as your income is acquired through righteous means. In other words, your money is not corrupted money, not money people give, through undercounter, all this corruption. You got money for IMDb, Right? Okay, so it's real donation. Don't simply say it's a donation, but actually it's a corruption. Right? So here the Buddha was very explicit. And in fact, there are many suttas where the Buddha talks about wealth. I think one to another person called Dikajanu. He also said, wealth is fine, but as long as you earn it the right way, there's no problem, right? And I always remember once when Master Hsing Yin was here many years ago, one of the participants asked Master Hsing Yin, is it okay for Buddhists to be wealthy, to be rich? Then Master Hsing Yin said, well, if my disciples, if my followers, if my devotees are not wealthy, then who's going to build hospitals for me? Who's going to build schools for me? Who's going to build old folks' home? Who's going to build universities? So he never answered whether it's okay to be wealthy, but it's clear. So because the issue is not wealth, the issue is how you get your wealth. That's the issue. All right? Okay? So he says, okay. Here when, okay, wait. You make offerings to them. The devas, they don't need your offerings. But when they know that somebody is making offerings to them, they appreciate. Then they take care of you. They don't need your offerings because they are at the higher level. You understand? It's slightly different. Whereas the petas need your offerings. So that's the difference. So even though the devas don't need your offerings, but the Buddha says it's good to make offerings to them. Why? Wait, then I think the next slide. You see? The Ratana Sutta, I think you have Ratana Sutta there, right? Encourages deities to protect humans because they make offerings to them day and night. Petas cannot protect you, right? Petas can only frighten you only. If you see one, they'll frighten you. But devas may not appear. You know the word deva, actually what does it mean? You know the meaning devas? Shining ones or radiant ones. Very close to it is the deva. The European, before from Deus, becomes Zeus. You can see the similarity there. So Deva, Deus. So as I said, they come from the Indo-Gangetic language. So the Devas, as the brother mentioned, is shining ones or the radiant ones. Like the Mangala Sutta, when they came down, the whole group got brightened up. Okay. All right. So here the Ratana Sutta encourages deities to protect humans because they make offerings to them day and night. All you deities, please listen. Do have metta for human beings who bring offerings day and night. So be diligent, please guard them. Bribery, This is a social contract. Social contract. I take care, like our former Prime Minister, I take care of you, you take care of me. Okay? But the devas, but again, I think we are referring to the two levels here. The Chatu Maharajika and the Taoism. This devas will be too far away. Okay? And then in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, this is the final discourse. The Buddha encouraged dana to the Sangha and dedicate the offering to the devas. So these devas, being honored and cherished, will bestow blessings in return. So dedicating one's merits to devas is also a practice encouraged by the Buddha. Right? So in many discourses, the Buddha says it is okay. So why make offerings? Difficult to know where a departed relative has been reborn, but if rebirth is as peta, then the departed can kind of eat the offerings or partake of your offerings, right? Even if departed is not born as peta, other petas related to the person in previous lives could eat the offerings. Devas may not eat the food, right? But they will feel honored at the offerings and respond with protection and assistance. Right? But always remember, they can only support you on a mundane level, on a worldly level, not on a spiritual, right? Okay? In that sense. So, as I mentioned just now, other offerings. So, offerings need not only be be food, right? You can make different offerings, and in fact, your offerings is more like your mental thoughts, you know. So even if you have nothing to offer, right, still your thoughts of loving kindness, your thoughts of, you know, of kindness, your thoughts of love for whoever has passed away, I think that itself is good enough. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's basically it. And the last point I want just to mention is that interdependence. So today's session, as I said, I can't talk to you based on experience, but what can we learn? I think is the nature of interdependence, that we are all interdependent. All right. So we reflect on how we are interdependent on each other so loosely and yet so intimately. Right. Thus, we should have deep gratitude towards those who are close to us and those who seem to be complete strangers. So, in other words, we treat all whoever we meet as fellow human beings. Right? With this deep gratitude, the self-centered tendency may be gradually worn away and our hearts open to others. So, have an open heart. So, look at all human beings as human beings. That everybody wants to be happy, isn't it? Everybody wants to be happy. So what we should do as followers of the Dhamma is to not create situations where you give suffering to other people. I think that's the least that we could do. Yeah. So with this deep gratitude, the self-centered tendency may be gradually worn away, and our hearts will open to others. Thus, we pay tribute to all our forefathers from this life and the past, and repay their deep kindness meaningfully. All right. So, conclusion. So, whether or not one's offerings are appreciated or used by the recipient does not affect the validity of the wholesome karma of doing it. Likewise, a Buddhist is actually encouraged to make offerings to departed relatives as well as to devas. Ultimately, it is the mental attitude that counts, isn't it? It's how we do it. And it is said that when you share merits with others, some people say, oh, if I myself don't have much merits, if I continue to share, how? Then I'll get even less. I am not enough for myself. You ask me to share my merits. Actually, this is a question which I receive. People did ask that question. You know. They said, I'm not I don't do meditation. I don't even practice the precepts properly. So where got merits? And you ask me to share some more. Huh? So the Buddhist response is, each time when you share merits, is like, they always use the analogy like a candle, one candle. You are that one small little candle. You bring that one small little candle into a room, into this room. Let's say this room is all dark. But in this room there are 100 candles. You use that one little candle and you light up 100 candles in the room. What happens? The whole room is brightened up. Does it diminish your candle? No. It doesn't diminish the light. Of course, your wax will get less. But it doesn't diminish the light. You see? So that's how merit works. Right? So we should not be afraid to share merits. In fact, the more you share, the more you will get. I think I told you the story many, many years ago, Venerable Mahinda. So you know Venerable Mahinda? He used to tell, he said, before he became a monk, he had so many things. He comes from a fairly rich family, I was told, from Malacca. So he said, he has got many things. So, and yet he wanted more things, he said. And he cannot have enough. After he became a monk, he gave up everything. But now he got so many more things that he didn't want. He got so many more things than what he actually expected. So it's like merits, if you're worried that by sharing merits, you're going to lose your merits, it won't happen. The more you share, the more merits you will have. Right? So remember the simile of the candle. So each one of us, we are like that small little candle. But imagine if we can light up, the whole room just with that one little candle. Okay, so I think this is my little sharing with you. I hope you will make reference to, you have the slides, right? I hope you make reference to the Suttas, because John was telling me he wanted to be a Sutta class. So I said, if you want to have a Sutta class for each of the Suttas, may take us 7 days to complete all the Suttas in each of it. So I thought maybe we'll We compress it, and then I give you the sources, so you can go back and then you can read. They are not difficult to understand, right? And of course, you don't have to believe it, right? So belief, it is said, what is the difference between belief and knowledge? You believe in something because you do not know. That's why you believe. When you know, the question of belief doesn't arise. Okay, so the Buddhist approach is to know. Like if I come to you and I say that I've got some jewels in my hand and it's closed, do you know? You do not know. But if you think, since I just given a Dhamma talk, I wouldn't break my precept of lying, so must be true. So you believe, but you don't know, isn't it? You do not know. Actually, you do not know. But you believe me, based on trust, based on what you think about this guy, you know. But the moment I open my hand, when you can see it for yourself, do you say, I believe? You don't say, I believe anymore. The question of belief doesn't arise anymore. Because you already know. You see it for yourself. Right? So that's why the word bodhi is knowledge. Right? That's why it's called the knowing, the all-knowing one. So the aim of Buddhist practice is for us eventually to know. But we have to start with believing in something, right? Or faith. You don't believe, then you never start, isn't it? Okay? So it's just the first phase. Okay? So if you have some questions, maybe another 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. If you have questions.